goals are, quote, to assure continuous access to petroleum resources, to prevent an inimical power or combination of powers from establishing hegemony, and to assure the survival of Israel as an independent state in a stable relationship with contiguous Arab states. What accounts for the inclusion of Israel in that memo? Well, I'm sure we all know that from the day in 1948 that President Harry Truman announced his support for the creation of a Jewish state in Palestine, Israel has held a special place in the hearts and minds of many Americans, Jewish and otherwise. The fledgling state was more European than Middle Eastern in orientation, providing common cultural ground. The mythos surrounding the creation of Israel and the sympathy generated by the world historical tragedy of the Holocaust played major roles in shaping popular American. But U.S. support for Israel has long been strategic as well as sentimental. Concern about Soviet backing for Egypt had led Congressman Lyndon Johnson to oppose President Dwight Eisenhower in his determination to force Israel to pull out of the Sinai and away from the Suez Canal in 1956. Johnson had somewhat funny quasi-conspiratorial ideas about Jews, once professing to be able to hear Jewishness in the voices of broadcasters who he considered favorable to Israel, and once loudly protesting his pro-Jewish bona fides to an Israeli diplomat by saying, "I have 3 Cohens in my cabinet." But the outcome of the 1967 war, entailing the humiliation of Soviet-allied Egypt and Syria, strengthened President Johnson in his conviction that Israel was a useful Cold War asset. After the war, an anonymous State Department official told the press, quote, "Israel has probably done more for the United States and the Middle East in relation to money and effort than any of our so-called allies elsewhere around the globe since the end of the Second World War. In the Far East, we can get almost no one to help us in Vietnam. Here, the Israelis won the war single-handedly, have taken us off the hook, and have served our interests as well as theirs." Aspiring Chief Executive Richard Nixon, also not known for his philo-Semitism, supported Israel vigorously on the 1967 campaign trail, pursuant to a visit to Israel that June 21st, when he met wounded Egyptian soldiers in an Israeli hospital. There he wrote down an Egyptian tank commander's complaints. Quote, "Russia is to blame. They furnished the arms. We did the dying." Under the quintessential Cold Warrior Nixon and his foreign policy doyen Henry Kissinger, U.S. material aid to Israel rose precipitously, and diplomatic support was vastly strengthened. By the Nixon Doctrine of 1969, developed in reaction to the Vietnam quagmire, the U.S. would project its power abroad through regional proxies rather than through the presence of American troops.